If you're watching this, you probably already understand the power of repurposing your content. Repurposing lets you show up on more platforms with less effort and can even double or triple your traffic. And with AI at our fingertips, it's easier than ever to do. But done poorly, content repurposed using AI can feel like a bad copy and paste job. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I repurpose content using AI without sounding like a robot. I'll break down my simple 3-step system that doesn't require a degree in AI or automation to set up. And if you stick around till the end, I'll reveal the one AI software tool that I'm using to create high quality long form blogs. Before we jump into step 1, there's one rule that I want to lay out here at the very start of the video. And I honestly think that this rule or this principle is the main factor that is going to avoid your content sounding like it's been created by a bad ChatGPT response. Here it is. Do not use AI to create your main piece of content. I know that might sound slightly contradictory in a video dedicated to AI, but let me explain. You can think of your content system like a mountain. At the top, there's a single cloud, which is your main piece of content. This might be your YouTube video, your blog, or just anything that's longer form. That cloud then rains down to create all of the different streams of smaller pieces of content. So your LinkedIn posts, your newsletters. But if that cloud is polluted with garbage, then the rest of the mountain is also going to be flooded with garbage. Your main piece of content is the source of value for all of the other pieces of repurposed content. It's where the original ideas, insights, and opinions live. So if it's written by AI, then of course all of your other repurposed content is going to sound lifeless, flat, and robotic, simply because it's AI built on top of more AI. So write your main piece of content yourself, or at least make sure that the ideas and the opinions are your own. That's how you keep everything that flows from it sounding like you. So with that in mind, let's walk through the 3 steps for setting up your AI repurposing system. Most people don't bother with this first step. They jump straight to engineering prompts inside of ChatGPT and then wonder why none of their content sounds like them. But here's the thing, if you want AI to repurpose your content authentically, then you can't just drop your main piece of content into a chat and hope for the best. So step 1 is to repurpose all of your different pieces of content manually the first time. For example, if you're repurposing a YouTube video, write the blog yourself, craft the newsletter yourself, and post the LinkedIn post on your own. And whilst you're doing this, you should take this opportunity to learn what does best on each platform and look at other creators that are doing well. Each platform has its own ways of doing things. For example, in LinkedIn, the first 2 to 3 sentences are what stay above the fold, and so they need to act as a hook to get the reader to read more. Yes, it takes a bit more time and energy to create these pieces of content yourself the first time, but we're then going to use these as references for everything else that follows. If you're serious about getting this right, you can continue to post manually until each of your pieces of content get good traction from your audience. That way you know when you use it later, it's already got everything that works for your audience baked in. Alright, now that you have done the hard part, repurposing your content manually, let's make sure that you never have to do it from scratch again. Now here's where most people go wrong with AI. They treat it like a search engine. They'll put 1 or 2 brief lines into the chat and then expect an amazing response. But although it seems it, AI isn't magic. It's simply a mirror. It reflects back whatever you give it. So step 2 is to create a ChatGPT project with a master prompt. Projects inside of ChatGPT allow you to group together chats a bit like a folder. But inside these projects, you can also add instructions that all of the chats inside of that project will reference. So inside of this instruction box, we can add all of the expectations we have for ChatGPT when creating a specific piece of repurposed content. So let's take a look at how to quickly set this up. So if you open ChatGPT, you'll see on the left, we have an area for projects. And if we create a new project, we can name it something. So for example, if we were creating newsletters from our YouTube videos, we might call this newsletter. We can create the project, and then as that loads, you'll now see that we have 2 options. We can add files into this chat, and we can also add instructions. So what I'll do is I'll add an instruction in here, and I'm going to paste in my master prompt. And this is actually something that I use in my own project for my newsletter. Now in the description, I'll leave a copy and paste version of this prompt, but just to quickly go over what is inside here, what I've basically said is that this project is for my email newsletter where I'm going to be promoting my latest YouTube video. Each week I'm going to be pasting in the transcription from the video, and then I want ChatGPT to take this information and turn it into a new edition of the email newsletter. And then what I do, and the key here, is I say, here is an example of an email newsletter, and then I paste in the email newsletter that I created manually back in step 1. At the very bottom here, I then also say, please use the tone and structure of this example to write the newsletter. And once that's done, I can go ahead and hit save. And I would also repeat this process for each of the different pieces of content that I want to repurpose. And that's it. You now have effectively trained ChatGPT on the exact context in which you're going to be using it for that project. So now that's done, let's move on to the final step, step 3. Okay, so now here's where it all pays off. You've manually created your pieces of content, you've trained ChatGPT on them. Now it's time to hit play. So step 3 is to paste your main piece of content into the relevant project and let AI repurpose it for you. So the latest video I published on YouTube was this one about formula for staying profitable in $1 million agencies. Definitely check it out if that sounds interesting. So what I'm going to do is come to the description and I'm going to find the transcript. So YouTube gives you an entire transcript, and I like to take my transcript instead of my script because it's a more complete version of the video. What I can do is toggle off timestamps, and then I am literally just going to drag and select all of the transcripts. And once that's done, I can hit right click and copy this. Now over in ChatGPT, I'm going to come to my newsletter project. And before I paste in the transcript, I'm going to say, please create a new edition of this newsletter using a transcript from my YouTube video below. Once I've done that, I can then go ahead and paste in the transcript like so. Now, in most cases, that's all I need to do before I hit enter, as we have the instructions inside the project. But in some cases, if you want to add some additions to the newsletter that isn't typically in those instructions, or you might want to omit some of the information in there, then I will just at the bottom of this say something along the lines of, you can skip the part of the transcript where I promote the next video. And once that's done, I can go ahead and press enter. And now ChatGPT is going to create a new version of the newsletter for me. And as you can see, because I gave ChatGPT the instructions of an example newsletter beforehand, it's now given me something that is not only pretty high quality, but that is written in my style and my voice. And this is how you get AI to work for your content, by being very specific about your prompt and giving it an example to work from. Now, of course, we shouldn't always expect it to be perfect the first time, and so I'll always copy and paste this and then go ahead and edit it to make it sound more like me and to fix any of the mistakes. But it does get me 80 or even 90% of the way there. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share one tool that I've started using to repurpose some of my content, and it's the sponsors of today's video, Video to Blog AI. Although ChatGPT and Claude are great for creating smaller pieces of content, I've always found for longer form content, they really do struggle. And because of that, I've always shied away from creating blogs for my business, which honestly has really sucked because I know there's so much potential for SEO and for people finding you through your blogs. And that's why platform-specific AI software like Video to Blog AI really stand out in the market sometimes, because they have been designed and trained specifically for this type of content, and so they can handle it a lot better. Let me walk you through a quick demo of how it works, but before I do, you'll notice that the same concepts I've explained in this video apply in terms of making sure that the AI has an example of a piece of content that you have first manually created. So I've opened up a fresh account, and as you can see, when you first land into the account, it welcomes you and says, create a blog. So the way we do this is, of course, create a blog. And then straight away, the software is going to ask you to pull a link in from a recent YouTube video. So I'm going to grab this video here, the secret to killer client onboarding, and just grab the link. We can paste that over in Video to Blog. And once we do so, it's going to recognize the video, and now it's going to ask you to basically prompt the actual AI. Now there's lots of settings that you can mess around here. So the length, the language, if you want to have a featured image, if you want to embed the video, which I always do like to have. And then a really nice feature they have included is adding screenshots. And I think this is really beneficial for blogs because it just makes it a lot more interesting for the reader to read. They also give the option to add links in. So they have this one for external links. So if I reference any terminology in the blog, they might link out to somewhere else where readers can go to learn more about that. Something that is more time intensive and a lot easier for the AI to do for me. And then also they have one for internal links. So if I switch this on, you'll see it's asking for a link for myself. And this is if I had any lead magnets or anything like that included in the video. It will also make sure that that's linked properly as well. To make that even quicker, you can also use these links from video descriptions. So again, if you're dropping any of the lead magnets in your description, you can find them here and check them on and off which ones you want to be included. So lots of cool features to explore that will save you time for creating a blog. But the most important thing that I want to show you is this writing style section. So when we open up writing style, you'll see the first thing it has is writing sample. And this is where we can do the exact same thing we've been doing in this video, in that we give it an example blog or an example video or whatever it may be. So for me, I'm going to add a writing sample and I'm going to upload a file. Actually, I'm going to do it from text. And I grabbed this one that I wrote myself earlier. So it's how to price services. And I'm just going to copy and paste all of this information. This is how to price services. And then I'll paste this in here like so, and then create writing sample. So now that's been set as the writing sample. And then again, I've got a few more settings for what I like to see. So for example, the format, you can have it as a listicle or product review, or set it to auto to allow the AI to decide for you. You can use the chapters inside the YouTube video description as the outline. You can create a table of contents, so on and so forth. You also have the option to add keywords for SEO, the time range that you want to be referencing in the video, all good stuff. But the main thing is that we have that writing sample baked in. And so now when we create the blog post, it's going to start creating the blog for us with all of that information. As you can see, it's loading here at the top, so we'll wait for that to load. Okay, so now that was a couple of minutes and it's created this long form blog for us, which is something that, as I said, Claude and ChatGPT tend to struggle with once it's over 1,000 words or so. As you can see, we have some screenshots that have been added in here, which I really like because my editor makes all this effort to create these really nice visuals, and we can just go ahead and reuse them in the blog itself. We've also got a embed of the video, but most importantly, this is following the exact same style and voice that I used in the blog I created manually. So that's the key here. So once we've created that blog, we can also use this export option here, and we can either choose to copy it as a markdown or HTML, or if we're using any of these website builders like WordPress or Medium or Ghost, Wix, we can export them straight to those different websites. So that's how to repurpose your content without losing your voice. But if you've just got into creating content for your business and you're struggling to manage all of the different deadlines, the information, the scripts, then you might like to check out my video on my YouTube content system inside of Notion, which you can look at here or here. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.